Dudes.
Virtual dudes. In space dudes. I wish I had known you were going to do a green screen. I would have given you something cool in the background. I would have given you like an endless tunnel like into the pits of hell or something. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, that would have been good. Or This Is Fine. There's an animated This Is
Yeah,
Fine
that's amazing.
background that I have, and it's awesome.
That's awesome. All right, so the big news this week was Tyson versus Jake Paul is going to happen. Tyson's going to be 58. It's funny that we were just talking about
You
boxing
were
and fighting and
almost like
stuff.
they watched the podcast. They're like, "Hey, let's do that. Let's set it
Mike
up."
Tyson is actually one of the 12 people who watches this
He is.
podcast.
He is.
Confirmed.
It's a little
Confirmed.
disconcerting.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen a couple of Jake Paul's fights. I know he's better at being a boxer than I am, but compared to Mike Tyson, like I think a prime Mike Tyson would literally kill Jake Paul to death, like
Kill him to
collapse his
death.
skull, kill him to death, like
Kill him to death.
kill him, resuscitate him in the corner before the count of 10,
Hey,
and then
Jake,
kill him.
wake up! Wake up!
It would have
All
been
right,
like
do it again.
Drago versus Apollo with the violence toned up a little bit. But at 58 years old, I mean, you're older than I am. I mean, don't your bones get brittle and your reflexes get slower? And
Actually, I mean, I feel like I'm at my peak performance now. I mean, like as I get older, I think I turn more and more cybernetic.
how many different like replacement parts have you had at this point?
None actually. I've only had things removed.
What have you had removed? If you don't mind
I
me
had an
prying, other
appendix
than your penis.
removed.
What's that?
Appendix. I had an
Appendix?
appendix removed. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
When was that?
A couple of years ago, 3 years ago,
Uh,
4 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
So is that can kill you like if you don't catch it. So
Oh, it
what happened?
could.
Tell me the story. I'm interested in hearing this. Like,
I was like laying in bed, and I was like, man, my stomach kind of hurts. Feel kind of sick. And I was like, wait a minute, this probably is an appendix thing. I'm gonna go to the hospital.
how did you know it was an appendix? Like, well, it would never even occur to me.
I think it's just the location of this localized like pain. It wasn't like excruciating for me, but it was like you could definitely tell.
Mm,
And the nausea, I was like, all right, I should at least get it checked out. And then
yeah,
I suspected it was an appendix, and it was, and they took it out. So
that's.
I
Did you get to
did.
keep it like in a formaldehyde jar?
What they did was they did the Kali Ma thing, like from Indiana Jones.
And I don't remember.
You don't remember Temple of Doom?
I have never seen Temple of Doom.
What?
It's not on my So
Have you,
a
what
friend let
Indiana
me
Jones have you seen?
a friend let me borrow the sorry, I got to turn off my notifications here. A friend let me borrow um the Indiana Jones movies, and I started watching the first one. I watched like a large portion of it, but it was right during um it was like there was something else going on in the world that was it was like January 6th or something. I was watching it, and then it was like, oh yeah, the Capitol's getting stormed. So like I turned it off, and then when I went back to it, my mind just wasn't on it, so I don't
But
remember.
you had like saw like real Nazis. Now you're like, well, who needs to see these Nazis now?
Yeah, exactly. I did not see the rest of that movie.
That,
So yeah, Tyson versus Jake Paul. I feel like if you had to bet, like let's say somebody gave you $1,000 free that said you got to put it all on one or the other, and it pays 3-1, and you get to keep the winnings. But if you
right.
lose, you got to pay $1,000. What's your
Well, it's not
who
free
you,
then.
this didn't make sense. This scenario didn't make sense in my head.
Well,
What?
in your like asinine scenario, uh, so like like it's interesting because Jake Paul has fought other washed up fighters, and I thought that he might get taken down by them, and then it turns out he didn't. And then there was that one guy who like basically I think took a dive.
Hmm.
Right? He's like, ooh, and it's like, what's going on here? So I mean, if everything's on the up and up, if Tyson, and I don't think Tyson would, I think Tyson is like got a little more pride than that.
Yeah.
But I think Tyson would probably take him out. So
I don't think Tyson would take a dive. Like I think he
Yeah,
did at the end of his career. If you go back and watch like the last couple of fights where he lost to like these out of shape white dudes,
yeah,
I feel like he was fighting for money. Then he would even say like in the post fight press conference, and there's such a big difference between pre-fight Mike Tyson and
right.
post-fight Mike Tyson. Pre-fight, he's like, I want to eat its heart. I want to take its children and stomp on them. And then afterwards, he's like, I was just fighting for the money. I just needed to pay some bills. And he just doesn't. He doesn't have uh, like marketing with his post-fight. Is like, yeah, whatever. I think he'll win. Honestly, he's 58 years old, but he's just got so much more experience as a fighter that I think he'll find more openings than Jake Paul will be able to find. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you heard this term "old man strength"?
Yes. I
Yeah,
don't
that
have
might
any of
be.
it. But
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know where that comes from. I feel like I'm not getting stronger, but yeah, I mean, I think Tyson probably takes it pretty easily, provided it is not like some payday, and which who knows? I mean,
yeah. I just realized my green screen is leaking here. Man, this whole episode has just been a disaster, like start to finish.
the green
With
screen
tech,
is leaking.
so the curtain was kind of coming. So
Oh, you're pulling the curtain back. It's like
yeah, it's literally
you're
pulling
not
the
actually in space.
curtain back. Huh? I'm not in
You're not
space.
actually in space.
I'm not actually on Thor's ship.
God,
Unfortunately.
I thought for sure that you were not in your room
Yeah.
in
So
space.
I speaking of being in space, I just rewatched the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, which I know
Right.
you've seen multiple times. I've seen multiple times, but it was my first time watching them in 3D. I watched
Yeah.
them on the Apple Vision Pro, which I've started calling my magic hat. I just call it the magic hat. It's easier to say. It sounds less pretentious. Um,
Does it?
so I think it does. I think it does. I think magic hat's better. It's softer. Uh, there's so many things that I love about those movies, but I had never. First of all, I've been watching 3D wrong. Like whenever I go to a movie, a 3D movie, I sit in the back and just kind of experience it like a normal movie. But with this thing, I was able to expand it to where it basically took up my entire field of vision, and it was like looking into another room, right? And the
Yeah.
cool thing about the AVP is that it runs like a separate video feed to each eye, so you don't have to worry about like anything being distorted or wrong. It's like exactly how it's meant to be seen. And I'm telling you, dude, it was like it is almost worth the entire price of the thing just to experience those movies in that format. Because I'll never forget. I'll probably watch them that way a number of other times. But I forgot how crazy the ending of Infinity War was at the time. I
Yeah.
mean, can you imagine how many kids, like 9 years old, 8 years old, I'm going to see Spider Man or I'm going to see Black Panther, and then they get turned to dust,
You're like,
and they just never resolve it.
yeah. Well, I mean, not in that movie. They don't.
No, it was like it's just
Hi,
the movie ends,
son.
and then the next movie comes out a year later. Which, when you're a kid, that's such a long time. A
Yeah,
year? I mean, that's such a long time. I
it
mean,
is.
obviously, it made Endgame like a must see, but that's crazy that they even were allowed to do that.
I mean, they're Disney. They can do whatever they want.
That's fair, but just the whole idea of let's wipe out half of our superheroes at the end of the movie and not resolve it and turn them to dust. And
Yeah.
so if you go
Ultimate
back,
cliffhanger.
if you go on YouTube and search, there's a whole bunch of kids reacting to the end of Infinity War, and it's like it's sad. It's sad, but it's funny. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I can imagine that would be a tough, a tough watch for them. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and then Endgame, I had when I go back and watch these movies, a lot of times I'll just skip through to different scenes that I want to see. Like I said, I want to see Captain America fight Thor or whatever, and I'll watch that and I'll watch through to the end. Or I want to see the Hulk snap, that type of thing. Um, I forgot that like the first hour of this movie is ridiculously sad and slow, and
Yeah.
Scott Lang, when he shows back up, like completely changes everything. Like he did such an unbelievable. He was low key the best part of that movie. When he
Yeah.
comes back, he's the comic relief. He gives the best dramatic performance when he's hunting for Cassie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they see each other, he's just like he. And then they had that callback to Back to the Future 2, where how familiar are you with Back to the Future 2?
Pretty familiar. Yeah.
So
Like,
Marty goes to the alternate timeline, Hill Valley, and he sees the kid on the bike and he says, "What the hell happened here?" or whatever. And that's exactly what Scott Lang did when he's like looking at all the missing signs on the telephone poles and the kid rides by on his bike. He says, "What the hell happened here?" It was almost shot for shot.
yeah.
So
It's but he didn't have any flying cars or skateboards.
no, I
So
you know
that's kind of a shame. Like I would have liked to have seen that scene with Scott Lang on a flying skateboard.
yeah. Are they doing another Avengers movie? I feel like I saw a teaser for it.
Yeah, so they're building up to the Kang dynasty storyline. But in the time it took for them to do that, Jonathan Lee Majors got fired. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with Kang now. They might recast him. They might bring in Doctor Doom. I don't know. I'll watch it either way. I don't care.
Yeah.
They could basically bring in like a giant Smurf, and I'd be like, yeah, Marvel.
Well, I mean, we watched the Ghostbusters movie with the big marshmallow man, and nobody had a problem with that.
That was the best part of it. That's
That was the
why.
best part. Um,
Have you seen the
I
new Ghostbusters, like the Afterlife stuff?
I saw the Afterlife one, but I haven't seen. I know there's a new one. I don't know if it's come out yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. How is
Okay.
Afterlife? Seen it yet? I want to see
I
it.
thought it was great.
Yeah,
They brought back Harold Ramis. On spoiler alert, but it's like they use like a digital version of him, which I
literal
thought was
ghost. They have a ghost in the movie.
yeah. I thought given modern technology and the amount of budget that they spend on these movies, they would actually develop a device to actually,
Reanimate them?
channel the spirit, just for this movie. That would have been.
I thought they just reanimate them, like have like zombie Harold Ramis.
Yeah. So all right, let's talk about video games because that was fun talking sports games last week. What are your favorite video games that you've played for any system over time? Just start at the beginning. Like, what were the first ones, and what have you played more and more as you've gotten older?
All right, so I'm pretty old. I started with an Atari
So did I.
2600.
Yeah.
So Pac-Man was pretty awesome. Zaxxon, I used to love Zaxxon.
I
Remember
never
Zaxxon?
played Zaxxon, but I played a lot of Pac-Man.
Yeah, a lot of Pac-Man. And then it got to a point where my mom would take over the Atari. She got really good at Pac-Man. And I'm like, hey mom, can I play? No. But anyway, then you move into like the Nintendo year. Well, actually, before I do that, what any on Atari for you besides Pac-Man?
So we didn't play a ton of it. I mean, I was very young when we had Atari, so mostly my brothers wouldn't let me play. If I did play, it was just like, let me just hold the thing and just press whatever. I remember we had Space Invaders, which was cool, where you get this little like ship and you're shooting the dots at like the asteroids and the alien ships. I remember that one. But I mostly was a Nintendo guy. Like I played a ton of Nintendo. Did you ever have Nintendo?
Oh yeah, I had a Nintendo for sure. So Nintendo, the Mario Brothers series, of course, right? That's iconic. Every one of those was good. Mario 2 is probably the weakest.
Yeah, 2 is the weakest. But I like
But
the music in part 2.
yeah,
The music was dope. And
I
the
like
little guys with the hockey masks.
yeah, and I like the game mechanics where you can pick stuff up and pull stuff out of the ground and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely the weakest out of the series, but still was good. I mean, weak Mario is a good Mario.
Yeah.
Compared mostly. But yeah, like that. And then you remember the little accessories they'd come with, like the gun, the little laser gun?
I remember the light gun. Yeah. We used it for Duck
Hogan's
Hunt.
Alley and Duck Hunt.
Yeah, Duck Hunt.
And
You
then I
say
discovered
Hogan's Island? Is that what you said?
Hogan's Alley.
Hmm.
It was like
I don't think I played that one.
yeah, basically, like in like the cops train with like the little like things, and you hit them and they spin.
Yeah.
Or it was like that. And then I discovered that with the light gun, if you put it right next to the TV, like if you like right up on it, oh, you dominate. Like you
Yeah.
get
Yeah, we had one of those for Sega Saturn, Virtua Cop. I used to play that. It was like this thing where you would get these targets that pop up, and you gotta like shoot them all, and then there would be basically those, you know, a terrorist holding a civilian. You got to shoot the terrorist or whatever. There was the Terminator light gun, Terminator 2. Did you ever play that one?
No, I did not.
So they
I played
actually
this
have
arcade, similar thing in the arcade, the Judgment Day or whatever, but
yeah, so they actually have that arcade game out now. Like you can go buy that as an arcade one up machine, and it comes with the light gun. That's kind of sick. I kind of want to do it, but
yeah.
it's really expensive, and I think I would use it like 2 times. I'm like, yeah, it sucks.
Verified. I bought one of the arcade games of the Marvel superheroes fighting game.
Yeah, never use it.
I've used it like twice, like you said. When the
Yeah,
kids, my son has friends over, they play it, but yeah, otherwise it just sits there and collects dust. And
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Bubble Bobble. Did you ever play Bubble Bobble on the
I don't
Nintendo?
I don't think I did.
So basically, it was like these two little dinosaur dragon things, and they could shoot bubbles out of their mouth, and you would like trap the bad guys in the bubbles, and then if you hit the bubble, they would explode.
Okay.
Right. So and then you could bounce on the bubbles to get up higher levels, and it was like 100 levels you had to go through, and at the end, the only way to beat it is if you were playing with a friend, and I had no friends, so I would just like bring the other controller in and like sit it there and let him just kind of hang out while I beat the game. But
Yeah,
like that
that's
was pretty
sick.
sweet.
We used to play the Jaws game. Did you ever play the Jaws game?
No, I heard that was pretty terrible. Was it?
I actually loved it, but like
Yeah.
in retrospect, I could see why people hate it. So the whole premise is you're this little diver, right? And you got to swim down to the bottom of the ocean and shoot jellyfish, right? And the jellyfish, once you explode them, will drop shells, and sometimes they'll drop stars or crabs. And each of those things gives you a different power up. So if you get a crab, you can move a little bit faster. If you get enough shells, you can get a submarine, and the submarine can shoot faster. And then if you get enough shells saved up and you get to the next port, you get a Jaws tracker, and it will tell you where Jaws is. And then as you build more shells, you get more power ups as you go like back and forth to these two little ports. And then once you get max power, you got to fight Jaws. And you basically have to shoot Jaws and all these little sharks that come in around Jaws with your little harpoons over and over and over again. And then it forces like a showdown where you're in a boat and you're moving the boat back and forth, and Jaws is jumping out of the water, and you got to stab Jaws, because that's the way the movie that came out at that time portrayed. And that movie sucked, by the way.
Was that Jaws 3D?
Jaws 4, The Revenge, which is
Oh,
just a ridiculous premise. There's a great skit from Richard Jenny, he's a comedian, about like how bad that movie is. It's like they discover the shark is somehow stalking the family. So what do? They go to the Bahamas and get in the water. It's like
well, they're bait. They have to be the
yeah,
bait to
yeah,
kill Jaws.
yeah.
Yeah, those Jaws sequels are pretty terrible. Like all of
I
them.
think you could probably avoid Jaws by just getting an apartment somewhere. You know, I think, and just not going in the ocean. I think you probably, yeah, swimming pools. You can still swim in swimming pools. No great whites.
You remember the land shark from Silent Live?
Yes. Treasure Island. Did you ever play Treasure Island?
Oh, what is? I've never. I don't even think I've heard
So,
of that one.
oh God. So there was this. You have this like little caveman kind of guy. He's wearing like a toga, and you just basically got to run around collecting all these things on like this like tropical island and fighting all these little tropical monsters. It's been a long time since I played it, so I'm sure there's more nuances than that. But that one was amazing. We already talked about Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I still remember the code to get to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
007-373-5963. Type it in, I guarantee it works. And I've only beat him twice, and I've probably fought him 1,000 times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they all had their special like tells every time, right?
Yeah.
Like he had like Piston Honda, and he had like a way you could hit him in the stomach or whatever.
Yeah.
Or, no, was it Piston Honda? See the big
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piston Honda was the big Japanese guy. There was also
Blue
Bald
guy,
Bull. Right? Yeah, Bald Bull would charge you, and if you timed it just right, you could hit him in the stomach, and he'd.
And then like, what was it the other guy who would like do the eyebrow thing?
Oh man.
That was like another like
Soda Popinski or something, maybe.
No, yeah, maybe it was Popinski. Yeah.
No. Anyway, Tecmo Bowl. We talked
Tecmo
about
Bowl.
Tech
Yeah, we talked
Mobile.
about that last time for
What up,
sure.
what about Blades of Steel? You ever play Blades of Steel? It's a hockey
Yeah,
game.
yeah, that was
That
pretty
was
sweet.
sick.
You could fight in that. Did you ever play Castlevania?
Oh yes, we loved Castle. The music in Castlevania was
Yeah,
awesome. I love the music. And then there was a Ninja Turtles game.
yeah,
I think
that was awesome.
there was actually two of them, and I liked the second one better. I think a lot of people like the first one better. I like the second one better. I think they were based on the movies, maybe.
There's an
But
analog to that game called Battletoads. Do you remember that?
I do remember Battletoads. My buddy Rob actually still wears Battletoads hats and shirts sometimes. That must have been
As he
one of his.
should. It's
Yeah.
iconic. It's like the
Uh,
Gorgons of Transformers.
yeah. All right, let's move on to Sega. Did you ever have Sega or Super Nintendo?
I had a Sega. Actually, I bought a retro Sega, like an actual Sega. I still have it.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
yeah, so you can plug it up to the TV and play it. So there's Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, right? That's the
Yep. I was a big
flagship.
Sonic guy.
Here, Mario.
Yeah. So there was another one that came out right around the time. Oh, Mortal Kombat that was when we
Oh,
first got Mortal Kombat, and my parents wouldn't let us have it. So what we did was we traded it in. Like we had it for like I don't know, maybe I don't know, a couple of weeks or whatever. And my mom like heard about it because it was on the news. Like, you believe this game, Mortal Kombat? And she's like, wait, you guys have Mortal Kombat? And she made us take it back. And we were able to trade it in for like 8 used games at that point because it was still like brand new and used games were like $2 or $3 at that
yeah,
point.
yeah.
So we actually got this golf game called PGA Tour Golf 2, which was unbelievable. It was the first game that had like a shot
Meter.
like a meter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could control your shot. And I mean, the scores were realistic. We would shoot like in the 70s and the 80s. It was like done really well. The only bad part was you had to wait a long time for the holes to animate, like they would draw themselves,
Oh, yeah.
loading or whatever. So it took a long time. So I go back and I tried to play it like recently, and I was like, oh, how did I ever play it? But it was so much fun at the time. That was when we first got World Series Baseball. That was
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Graphics were sick. Did you ever play the Street Fighter games?
Yeah, I did. I played them in the arcade all the time.
Do you still play Street Fighter?
No, that Marvel game I was talking about, it's Marvel versus Capcom. It's very similar to that Street Fighter fighting style game, whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I used to play that a lot. My go to character was Guile.
Guile.
The
Yeah,
yeah, the one who
I like
had the
Guile.
kick. And then later on Vega, like
I
the
like Dalsim,
Dalsim, yeah.
the crazy arms.
Dalsim.
Yeah.
Fire. Fire.
I'm just learning how to play Street Fighter appropriately. With the new one, Street Fighter 6, they've got like a simple play where you can execute moves without having to put in all the combinations and stuff. So I was never good at that. I can't remember the muscle memory or whatever to enter in those combinations, but I'm pretty good at the new one. I mean, comparatively, there's people like Rob who are just insane
Yeah,
at it,
I'll
but
destroy everyone probably anyway. So
like he beats like the best players in the world. Like that's
yeah.
how good he is.
He's got strategies and stuff, and he's not just mashing buttons. And
Like he gets into frame rate. Like he understands like this guy that I'm fighting has an animation for his move that's 9 frames less than my guy. So this is the guy I'm going to use. It's crazy.
yeah,
Trying to
do you
think. Did
remember?
you guys?
Do you remember Altered Beasts?
Alter Beast. I feel like I heard the name, but I don't think I had the game.
So basically, you start off as this human, right? And then like you start collecting these power ups, and then you can turn into like a werewolf or like other types of like monster characters that have like superpowers to fight these
Yeah.
enemies. I think they
Yeah.
stole your girlfriend or something. You have to save her. Anyway, pretty sweet game.
Okay. Uh, Super Nintendo. Did you ever have Super Nintendo or playing it? So yeah, you're one of the people who had both. Not everybody had both. I feel like that was
I
the
didn't have the
first.
Genesis when I was a kid. I had it now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had Super Nintendo back then. It was not. Yeah, I didn't have both.
Yeah, there were people who had both, and those people were like the bomb. I ended up getting Super Nintendo way later. Like I bought it when it was out of style. Uh,
Yeah, same.
games were cheap, and like I remember Donkey Kong Country 2 was amazing. I
Yeah,
played the Mega Man games were sick. Um,
Mega Man on Nintendo was pretty awesome too at the time.
yeah, Game
Yeah,
Boy. I played it on Game. Did you ever have a Game Boy?
I had Game Boy. Yeah,
Yeah, we
there
were
was
Game Boy
an NBA game on that I played a lot. That was pretty sweet.
an NBA game.
Yeah,
What game?
it's like NBA. Challenge or something. I forget what it's called, but it was like, I mean, it was real low tech. I mean, it was it's
Yeah.
Game Boy, but
I'm trying to think. What did we? So my favorite Game Boy games, we had Balderdash, uh, which or no, is either Balderdash or Bombardment, something like that. Where it was basically one of these games where there's like these different block sets. Like if you're looking at the screen, at the top there would be like a shape made out of blocks, right? And then at the bottom you have a little paddle, and it was like the shape of like it looked like a little submarine. And you have
yeah.
a ball, and you got to bounce the ball off and destroy all the
Oh, that was like
blocks.
Breakthrough or Super Breakthrough back in
Breakthrough,
the
yeah, kind of, yeah,
arcade. Yeah,
yeah, kind
yeah,
of like that. Now those games like don't exist because AI destroyed them. Like you can AI broke them.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I used to like try and get the ball in the corner and have it bounce around like itself for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and drill itself down. I played the Mega Man games a lot on Game Boy too. The Game Boy games were sick. Um, we talked
Super
about
Mario
quarter.
World.
Oh, Super Mario World. What about Wario? That was the introduction of Wario.
It was,
That was
yeah.
that
And
was
Yoshi.
awesome. And Yoshi. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Those were when I think the Game Boy Mario games were my favorite Mario games. You know? N64, I remember when that came out, we were actually one of the first ones. That was the first time I was an early adopter for a system
Mhm.
because I had a job. I was working at a pharmacy, and I think I was my first or second paycheck was like $300, and the system was like 200 or whatever it was, or I had saved up a couple of pay, something like that. And so I was one of the early adopters, so that was sick. And I remember there were two games that came out right away. Actually, three. We had three games. We had Mario 64, which was kind of cool because you could like, go. It was first time it was like an open world. We had Wave Race, which was still one of my favorite games. It's like a jet ski game where you got to go through like courses and you can
I
do
think I remember
flips
that.
and
Yeah.
stunts. And then there was Pilot Wings, which got a lot of hype, but I never really got into it.
Star Fox too, right? Wasn't that on that?
Yeah, Star Fox came out, but I didn't have Star Fox. I don't think I ever played Star Fox. My friends were all into it, but I think I like had to make a choice between I think Star Fox might have even been more expensive because it came with a Rumble pack or something like that.
Okay.
Did you have an N64?
I didn't have one. I was in college at that point, and then I know that a lot of people did have them in the dorms.
Yeah.
And I remember the game that everybody was playing was GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. Yeah, the greatest. The
Like they'd
goat
have
of.
like giant parties of GoldenEye.
There's a great documentary you should check out if you're interested in that type of thing. It's called Golden Era. It's about the development of the GoldenEye game. How like they got the license for 007 really cheap, and it just talks about all the different things that went into making that game, and it's really really good. But yeah, GoldenEye. I don't think I ever beat GoldenEye, but I played it a lot. That was probably the first ever FPS that I
Yeah,
played, first person
yeah.
shooter.
The
Uh,
so and that was around the time when the first PlayStation came out.
yep.
And that's what I had was PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I was playing that. There was a football game I remember in that. I don't remember which NFL Game Day maybe.
I do remember Game Day. Yeah, we had a PlayStation also. I think that we got a PlayStation probably 6 or 8 months after it came out. We saved up and got it. Yeah, I remember the breakthrough or Game Day or whatever it was. There was there was a baseball game that I played. Oh, MLB Pennant Race. It had David Justice on the
Oh yeah.
cover. It was like the first baseball game, and that has evolved into MLB The Show, which I still play every year and which comes out Friday. So I'm
Oh yeah.
psyched about that.
Yeah, they had there was a game on there called Abe's Odyssey that I played a lot.
Yeah.
And like basically you were like this mutant or alien or something, and you were trying to save all your friends that had been captured. And it
Yeah.
was just a puzzle game. It was pretty sweet. It was a pretty good game. But going back to the Super Nintendo, I can't believe we left this one out. Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mario Kart's
I mean,
amazing.
that was like
I
I used
still
to go
play
to
Mario Kart.
high school and we play
Yeah.
Mario Kart there.
Yeah.
So
I still play Mario Kart. There's still
they still
yeah,
have versions on like Nintendo Switch.
yep, that's the one I play, and I'm not good at all. But it's like if you got like 10 minutes to kill and nothing to do, like you're waiting for a meeting or whatever, Mario Kart is the perfect game because you can get into a game quickly and have fun, and it's very fast. What about like the FPS? I know you play Fortnite. I just played it like once or twice this week, and I hate it.
You can hate it, and that's fine. It's
It's
not
just
for everyone.
it's not for me. I'm more of a Call of Duty guy.
Mm.
Were you ever like Call of Duty, Doom, any of
Yeah, I
those?
played some Call of Duty, like first few of them that came out on the PS3. I
Yeah,
played, and I played a couple on four. Um, they're all right. I'm not great at them. And there's like it's weird, like with these games, like the online games. There's always these unwritten rules in the community, and it all varies based on who you talk to. But like you can't camp, you can't snipe, you can't
yeah.
do this, you
You
can't
can't
do
do
that.
anything that actually works.
Why are you using the shield? You suck. It's like, dude, like
Yeah,
this, all this stuff's in the game. Why are you guys complaining so much about it? You hear it like in all the sports games too. It's like,
right,
why aren't you doing this? Like, and really, what it comes down to is why aren't you letting me win?
right. So in baseball, uh, there's there's this strategy of pitching that a lot of people employ where they just throw nothing but balls in the dirt or balls high because some
Yeah,
people will
yeah,
just swing it. Some people will just swing at everything, and then the people who swing at everything complain like, "How come you're not throwing it over the plate?" It's like, why should I throw it over the plate? You'll swing at it if it's a foot outside. Why would I give you something good to hit? Right? To me, like you've got to like if it's within the confines of the game and it's not like a bug that you're exploiting, I think it's fair
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean, I
camping
used to
is
play on,
fine.
yeah, I used to play online the show whatever, and they would try to throw or MVP baseball whatever,
Hmm.
and like they throw high, and like eventually you just adjust. Like, all right, this guy's gonna just throw high balls the entire game. I'm just not gonna swing
Yeah.
because you get to walk if they do that.
Right. All right, let's jump ahead to PS5. I know you're a recent PS5
Yeah.
user. What what have you played in the so-called next gen that you're a fan of, other than obviously the Fortnite that we both
Yeah,
I
Fortnite
hate.
was last gen too. I mean, that's kind of just yeah.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about the PS5 is a lot of the games you play are available on both platforms,
Hmm.
and they just look better now. So like,
Yeah.
I guess like the Spider-Man games, those are really good.
I've been wanting to play those. Is New York City like fully explorable? Can
I will
you?
let you borrow my copy of Spider-Man, and you can
Okay.
play that. But yeah, it's fully explorable. You'll recognize a lot of the areas in New York City. You can like swing over Central Park and all this
That's
other stuff.
sick.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
want to
awesome.
I want to get into the Arkham games again because I feel like when I
It's
played
really
through the Batman games several years ago, and to me they were the coolest games ever.
good.
But I want like a PS5 version, with
Yeah,
better physics and better textures and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah. The Spider-Man games are very similar to the Arkham games,
Yeah.
uh, and then your Assassin's Creed games, like
So I never played those. Tell me about those.
so they're interesting. So the whole idea here is somebody's developed this system that you can immerse yourself into, and it taps into the memories of your ancestors, right? So if you're descended from this great person, you can go back in time basically and become that person. Like you're
Hmm.
sharing a brain with them. So this particular person is they're related to they're descended from these assassins, and there's an assassin's order, and then there's like an order with like I guess Templars, which are like a religious sect, right? So your job as an assassin is to go assassinate all these public figures that are, causing problems, and they're actually members of this secret society of Templars. And it gets it's like an alternate history, like it's historical fiction essentially, because you're seeing guys like Aristotle and like all these other people like in ancient Greece or like in the first one they go all the way back to I think Italy,
Hmm.
right? Maybe the second one. And they go to Italy. They go ancient Italy, ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt. There's one that's set in Iceland, so or like the Viking era. So
That
it's all
sounds
pretty
sick.
cool. Yeah, and then like and the later games, they kind of dabble a little bit in mythology. So like the Valhalla has some Norse mythology aspects to it. And then the Greek one has Greek god stuff with it. So it's like it's pretty sweet.
That's sick.
They yeah they introduced they were one of the first games other than Prince of Persia to introduce the whole parkour
Oh
element
yeah.
of moving around. Right, so you climb buildings and like when you're trying to assassinate somebody, you can like perch yourself on the edge of a building, and then you can drop down and assassinate them from the ceiling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty sweet games.
Sick. Are you much of a Grand Theft Auto fan?
I played pretty much all of them. It's interesting because like I'm not a huge fan of the stories usually. The stories aren't great, but it is kind of fun to go get 5 starred.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I do. So I'll play uh the storyline until I get kind of sick of the story. I don't know, a couple of weeks, and then it's just like, all right, well, let's go kill as many people as we can, and start just, let's kill as many cops.
Yeah,
Let's try and drive this car on that building. To try and do a jump. That type of stuff. I like to take a helicopter and just explore. That's kind of fun. I like to
yeah,
jump and skydive and just kind of like sail Superman over the city. That's kind of fun. But I'm looking forward to the new one. It could be kind of sick. I never really got into the online. Uh,
yeah,
it was just too crazy. Like you'd be just trying to do a race or something, and all of a sudden, you know, people come by doing something else and totally wreck it. And it was just. But that was
yeah,
the early days, so I don't know if that even still happens anymore.
yeah. It's like a lot of those games have moved to like online modes, like Fallout series.
Yeah.
So those games are great. Like I don't know if you ever played those.
So I played Fallout 4. I have a friend that worked at the studio that developed them, and
Mhm.
he sent me like a free autographed copy or whatever, and so I
Cool.
played it. I thought it was good, but I just never picked up with the next ones or
Yeah,
you know.
3 was better, I think. 4
Yeah.
was like New Vegas or something. 3 was
Yeah.
awesome. But they're coming out with a series now, a TV series. Did you know
Oh,
this?
cool. Did not
It's
know
on
that.
Prime. So they
Okay.
have a trailer out now. You need to check out this trailer because
I'll check out the trailer.
it looks really good. Yeah.
Have you were you ever a Walking Dead fan?
Yeah.
So
I watched it for like multiple seasons, yeah.
I turned it off after Rick left, and then I just saw that there's a new series with Rick and Michonne called The
Yeah.
Ones Who Survive, and I watched the first 2 episodes, and they're actually really good. And then there's another one called Dead City that's got Negan and Maggie, and I'm like 3 or 4 episodes into that, and that's really good. So to me, they're both way better than, uh, the last couple of seasons of The Walking Dead. Like, something about just focusing on two characters, and
Yeah, the world got too big, I think, for this series, and then they started killing off like or getting characters would leave,
yeah,
right, and like familiar faces. And I get it; these actors want to go do other things, right?
right.
But yeah, like once they killed off Glenn, I was kind of like,
In
all
such a
right.
brutal way.
Yeah, it was kind of it's almost like Steven Yeun had like done something to piss them off. Like,
Yeah,
all right, have you seen his new series,
I have not. What's it called?
Beef?
Oh, I heard about it. It's up for some awards, I think.
It's really good. Yeah. So do you know the premise?
This is like a road rage thing or something, right?
Kind of. Yeah. So he's like this guy who's like kind of down on his luck. He's trying to like make his life work. He's kind of a loser, right? And then he's backing out of a parking space in like a grocery store area or something. And this woman, I guess, starts honking at him, whatever. And he just had a terrible day. He's returning these hibachi grills back to this place. And we find out later that he's been getting the hibachi grills so he could turn them on without having the fire, so he could kill himself. He's trying to be
Oh,
killing himself with hibachi grills. That's how bad his life has gotten, right? So the woman, she like gets him mad, makes him angry. He chases her, but she's just as crazy as he is, but she's from the opposite end of the spectrum where her life is like she's like a high up at like a company, and like
hmm.
she's got lots of money, and her husband's a rich, like I guess the son of an artist, right? And like so he's got a lot of money inherited from that, and then it's just a story about their feud and how it evolves and how like it's almost like remember the Looney Tunes where
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll bring out a knife, oh yeah, well I'll bring out a gun, oh yeah, well I'll bring out a cannon, right? And it's like that's the series, like it escalates and escalates and escalates, and then it has a final crescendo, and it's like, oh man, they really, yeah, they screwed up.
All over it. I've been wanting to watch that. So yeah,
It's
that's going
solid.
on the actual list that I keep.
Yeah, it's solid.
All right, man. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you joining virtually. I've got a busy day. We got a recap for my podcast, and then I'm producing Ken Rosenthal's podcast tonight. So it's going to be a full day on the computer, but
Yeah, well, I mean,
appreciate
No problem, man. I appreciate you having me. Sorry that I didn't have my mic set up. Next time I'll have the actual mic. Yeah, I'll show you the mic just to prove I have one.
Nice. Okay, cool. We're good. All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right, later.